It's time for some music. Let's find some music. Music. How about this one? Oh, yeah. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Corner Wrestling Radio. I'm Stan Grubb, your host, and we are joined by my tag team partner, Brian Taylor. What's up, man?
What's good? What do you know?
Happy Halloween, dude. Happy freaking Halloween.
Yeah, go suck it.
Let's go suck an egg. I want to say to all of those that are out there, if your kids are dressed up as Halloween, that's awesome. If you're dressed up with them, you're an idiot.
No.
Now, if it's cosplay is one thing. Don't get me wrong. I have respect for my cosplay folks. But if you dressed up there just to go to something cute for your workplace, that's dumb.
Well, I mean, really, though, think about it. It's cosplay nothing but Halloween.
I know, but like, why don't they give candy to the cosplayers?
Well, if you walk up to the door, you can probably get some.
Yeah, because they want to get this freaky adult who's wearing a Batman costume that's 400 pounds off their front step.
Hey, bro. Hey, did you not get candy when you wore yours?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Maybe the guy said my gut was sticking out. That's not the point.
That's what it was.
The bat emblem was touching my chin, okay? They don't make double extra fat ass for Batman.
But that's the joy of cosplay.
True.
Beef.
I'm Fat Batman. Oh, gosh. You know, I was just telling you before we went on the air, there's not a whole shit ton of news in wrestling this week, which is probably a good thing. I'm becoming of the mind that no news is good news, because every other time there's a major story, it's like, Jesus, who's getting suspended now? Who got fired? You know, it's just a crazy wrestling world we're in right now. Some of the things that have gone on in the past couple of days, one is kind of major, and we saw the beginnings of it on Wednesday night on Dynamite. The Elite off of suspension, making their way back. It appears with their return that they're going to be coming in with kind of like a chip on their shoulder, angry that they were erased from AEW. Is what I gathered from that promo where you're like, what the hell was that? I think that's what the hell it was. I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing with it. What did you think of it?
I mean, I think you're probably a little off. Well,
oh, yeah?
I don't know. Maybe.
All right, maybe. Hit me with it. What do you think it's going to be?
I mean, I don't know if they're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. I mean, maybe.
I mean, as much as the Bucks can pull off because they suck at kayfabe.
Well, I mean, so, but you know, again, that's the thing, right? So, yeah. I mean, the problem is the three of them together probably weigh, you know, what, 200 pounds?
Yeah, they're not big dudes. Although Kenny Omega's probably like 240. No. 228.
220, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't really think they really strike fear in anybody's hearts.
Don't think they could pull off like the anti-hero? We're here because we've got a grudge with Tony. No, I don't think
no. I don't see. I mean, now maybe you get lucky and Adam Cole and, you know, is part of it too. And, you know, maybe some other signed, you know, people that may or may not have been signed are part of it too. Maybe they come in as a group with, you know, Malachi or Buddy or, you know, something like that to give them a little beef.
So, you know, it's interesting because this one kind of slipped under the radar, except for me and Shane, who posted it like 4 times in the corner to corner chat. Malachi Black posted on Twitter a little little teaser video for the House of Black. Looks like he's on his way back. So all of you guys that said, "Oh no, he's done with AEW," I'm thinking you're about to have a whole lot of egg on your face.
Well, yeah, but I
A
mean,
lot of egg on your face.
I find that most of the bobbleheads sooner or later get egg on their face.
Bobbleheads. You see, that is a magic word. That, sir, is a magic word, and let me tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on Twitter all the time. We know this. I love Twitter. It cracks me up sometimes. Sometimes it makes me mad. It's just one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yesterday I'm on Twitter and I see Rebel pop off at this fan. I'm like, what the hell is she going off about? And apparently, so AEW had posted a title match, advertised a title match between Jade Cargill and Marina Shafir.
Mm-hmm.
So John Doe, we'll call him.
No, screw that. What's his name? Let's
JD
just,
from New York.
there we go. Let's give the bobbleheads what they want,
He's
right? They
got
want a little fame.
45,000 followers, this guy. 45,000.
Okay,
So
it
he
makes him
come
an expert, but let's.
yeah. So he sits there and he says, "Oh, please God, no." So the first thing that happens, and this is why I love Twitter, is Jade Cargill pops off and says, "Calm down, Mark. We can hear you from your basement."
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, Brian, I know I've been very vocal and said I wasn't a big Jade Cargill fan, but this weekend, I got to tell you, that bitch made me that fan.
That bitch.
That's
There we
right.
go.
Because,
Well,
I mean, I may not like her in ring work. And she, let's be honest, she's getting better. So I'm not like trying to bury her. But I love seeing bobbleheads get what they got coming to them. I do. I love it. So this guy, he does YouTube shows and podcasts, and he's I'm gonna give him his due. He's got a hell of a following, but it's basically a following of just mouth breathing idiots, like the ones that are like, "Oh, Disco Inferno's so smart." These kind of guys, right?
mm-hmm.
And so he goes off on this rant where he's like, "Nobody respects women's wrestling. Nobody cares. You guys suck. Marina Shafir sucks." I mean, by the way, Marina Shafir does not suck. I don't know where he got that thought process, but that way off the mark.
Here, you only know where he got that thought process?
Hit it.
Uh, hey, Marina, here's your walking papers. You're no longer employed by the WWE.
No.
Yeah,
Wait, he's a
and
WWE
and
thing?
and that's where he lost his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I'm not saying she's the best. However, I really don't think she's terrible to the point I would run her down. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, it's so convenient when they leave a place that you just try and run them down. Because if they were still there, you'd be rooting for them.
He probably would. Not only would he be doing that, he'd be like wearing a Bloodline T-shirt. He'd be throwing the ones up, talking about Seth Rollins is the greatest of all time. Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. Because this guy, I give people an opportunity, and when I hear or see a podcast or a video show like Fightful does, I usually give it a few minutes to kind of listen to it and see if it's interesting. Because
Mm-hmm.
everybody listens to the ones we all know about, right? So you're gonna listen to Conrad Thompson's podcasts. You're gonna listen to Orange one of Conrad's, but you're gonna listen to like Kevin Nash, his podcast. You're gonna listen to these ones because these are big stars. So
Mm-hmm.
this guy's a really vocal fan. He's always screaming, always yelling, just like and cussing, like not just cussing a little, like a lot, like every other f bomb. There's another word in there, like it's crazy. But he just goes on. He decides that this is the hill he's gonna die on. He just goes off, and Britt Baker calls him out, says he's a sexist pig, and basically that he's getting laughed at by the girls in the locker room. Rebel says the same thing. Sonny Kiss claps back at him. Jade pops in again. Ty Conti Ty Guevara now, pops off into the comments as well. I mean, it's wrestler after wrestler. And then Jonathan Gresham, bless that little guy's soul. He decides to jump in there. I mean, I saw a couple responses to it where people were like, "Why is everybody hopping off on this guy, this podcaster?" It's kind of messed up that these wrestlers, professionals, have such thin skin. And I thought, man, that could be kind of right. I get it. I see why somebody would say that. But then there's the other obvious part of, well, just because you have freedom of speech doesn't mean you're the only one with freedom of speech. If I don't agree with your opinion, if, I don't know, Jade Cargill, or if she wanted to, Marina Shafir, doesn't agree with what you've said, and mind you, this isn't the first time this guy's been called out. This is just the one that's probably getting the most traction in the past couple of years. Um, you can't cry out in the wilderness and start tagging all these people and not expect them to respond back. As a matter of fact, telling them that your DMs are open so you can talk it over really cries of desperation. And I just thought it was just damn funny. And yeah, Jade Cargill won another fan. There you go.
Well, I mean, again, at the end of the day, I don't really care like what your numbers are, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people out there that may have heard one and, oh, this is a good show. And let me just click the like button or the subscribe button or whatever. But that doesn't mean he's got that many true subscribers.
Right.
Because I've done it a time or two on different social medias places. Oh yeah, I like this guy. Let me click subscribe or let me click, like or follow or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week I'm like, meh, they're not as good as I thought they were. And then instead of unfollowing them or whatever, you just let it ride. So I'd be curious on a regular um, you know, podcast or, regular Tommy stream. That's not quite right. How many active listeners he has.
Mm-hmm.
Not the residuals from other places. How many actual people turn in to listen to him spew?
Mm-hmm. Well, plus it's easier to just hop on bandwagons. It's just
Sure.
easy. You know what I mean? Oh, WWE's the best. They've been around the longest. Okay, cool. Nobody else has said that argument. We've never heard that original thought before. Like, what the hell, man? Like, dare to be different, And anybody ever thought about this? Like, AEW doesn't have to be WWE. There's going to be stuff we don't like about every company. It doesn't matter which one it is. But, god damn, get a clue. Like, the sexism of women aren't capable of doing the same thing men can do, that died, like, in the late 80s, early 90s. And we're only now getting to the point where people are called out on the carpet for it. And I think it's awesome when somebody gets called out for being an asshole about it. Like, you can have your personal opinion. You don't think a woman can wrestle? That's your call. I don't necessarily agree with it, but okay. But at the
Yeah, but
same time, what's that?
again, though, this he probably said it to get a rise,
Oh, and it definitely worked.
and yeah, it worked exactly like it was supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, that's the problem about today's fan,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is um, they think because they have access to social media, they can just flap their gums about whatever stupid asinine thing they have to say,
Mm-hmm.
and that is important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in the past, before social media, you know, oh yeah, no, Shawn Michaels is the best. No, Ric Flair is the best.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have an actual discussion. You wouldn't
Right.
just, you know, be like, oh no, God, Ric Flair's just a crouchy old man who shouldn't wrestle no more because he can't. Oh, WWE sucks. You know, anytime we had discussion between about wrestlers, did we ever bring the company in?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about one company's better than the other, or I mean, I don't think we've ever had a discussion that women shouldn't be wrestling, and you know what I'm saying?
No, I think,
Like,
and one thing I'm proud of for our show is that we have always been a group that has supported women's wrestling and complained when it was touted as anything but.
yeah, I mean, but you know, it's social media. Like,
Yeah.
he knows that he can't be punched in the mouth, so he's going to sit there in the comfort of his probably mom's basement and spew whatever nonsense he wants to spew,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I bet you he wouldn't go on about Georgia, you know, Grace in front of Gresham if he was standing in front of Gresham, and how women can't wrestle and all this stuff. And she's not only wrestling women and winning championships, she's wrestling men and winning championships.
Yeah.
You know, there's a certain type of bravado about doing that stuff on social media where you know you're not going to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, there's a lot of comfort with a lot of people just typing out and saying what they want because they know they're not going to get smacked in the mouth. There's definitely a lot of that. Too much comfort.
Yeah, but again, that's the generation we live in, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, think about it. Back in the day, if you're on the playground and you say something stupid in front of somebody else, you liable to get punched in the mouth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But when you live in your mom's basement, God, your whole life revolves around fucking talking stupid shit and telling lies and everything else. And well, what else are you gonna do?
Right. Right. And that's the sadder part of that. It's sadder still because this is a person who is clearly dedicated more than what we would consider normal amounts of time to an industry that he's not a part of outside of his podcast.
Well, yeah, but again, though, I mean, if you're really like want to be a part of the business, you don't get on there and talk stupid shit like that.
Right. Right.
You know, again, not only has Grace won male titles, but I mean, look at Blanchard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she held that title for I don't know a couple months,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it? You know, the WWE. Oh, well, now they're starting to pick up on mixed tags.
Mm-hmm.
AEW does mixed tags. You know, other people are doing mixed tags. It's not going to be long before you really start to see women in singles matches against males.
And to the initial point, Marina Shafir actually gave Jade Cargill one of her better matches the first time they faced off. No chemistry between the two of them beforehand because they had never been in the ring. And I still think that Shafir gave her one of her better matches. So I don't know where these kind of opinions come from. It's just silly to me.
No, again, I mean, you're dealing with people that just they don't know any better,
Yeah.
and they think that because they can hide behind a keyboard,
Hmm.
that you know it's okay. And God, they'll never find me down here in the headquarters in my mom's bed, you know.
Mom, where's my hot pocket?
So, well, I mean, it is that is what it the way it is.
Yep. Yep. Now on the bobblehead train, Brawlout's investigation's officially over. I mentioned it a little while ago. Fresh from the investigation being concluded. Well, we said the Elite's coming back. We'll talk more about that as we keep going forward here. But CM Punk, his camp, has released further info stating that it wasn't it wasn't Punk throwing the first punch. It was Larry, the dog, getting smacked in the face with the door when the Bucks kicked it in. in getting injured that caused this entire thing to blow up?
Well, so that's kind of interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would fight you if you.
Oh, hell yeah. If
Oh,
my dog got smacked in the face with a door because some asshole was coming in there to try to talk smack, yes, absolutely there'd be a problem.
yeah.
And yeah, I might actually knock the dude in his mouth or his eye.
Or fucking knock him out or bite him in the chest or.
Bite him!
Yeah.
Ace bit a guy. I just need to have that. I just need to hit a button, and every time we talk about it, just hit that button. Ace bit a guy.
Can you get a sound bite of that from somebody?
I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't think I do it justice. I gotta find like a Will Ferrell kind of approach to it. He had a trident. That's all I envision. It's like it's the Ron Burgundy news crew brawl.
Oh, that is so funny.
What are we yelling about? I mean, you know what's sad, and I say it all the time. I'm a huge CM Punk fan, but this is probably the way his career ends.
Well, I mean,
We got a
but,
year of great matches with him, and now he's done because of this shit.
well, yeah, but let's think about this though, right? So if that is the case,
Mm-hmm.
right, that um, that he throws a punch because the poor dog got hit, right?
Yeah.
And no offense, but I don't think that dog really needs to take so many more hits.
Yeah, and he's not like a big dog. He's a
No,
little bitty thing, like not a Chihuahua, maybe like a pug.
no, I don't know what you call that thing. I mean, that's like the damn dog from One Crazy Summer. You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
Like, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, I love animals, but yeah, damn, that dog's ugly. Yeah. So I mean, it literally can't take but so many more hits, right? Or that dog, you going, I don't know, man. This would be like win the contest for ugliest dog or something. But no
That's
wonder.
it. Now you're gonna get a lawsuit and a cease and desist from Punk.
No,
Making
because
fun of Larry, you son of a bitch.
no. But again, though, if I'm in the back and y'all come hard charging up there,
Mm-hmm.
and you know you goddamn fling the door open, you hit the dog. I mean, damn, back in the Wild West, yeah, I mean, y'all would have got to throwing lead and everything else. So, but think about it. If that's truly the case, right, that the brawl started over the fact that, you know, the dog got hit with the door, then that kind of changes things.
Yeah.
I'm not really forgiving any party involved for doing what they did, but it does kind of change the complexion of the melee that happened afterward, you know. And I mean, maybe that's why Kenny was going for the dog before goddamn Ace bit him.
The best part of that about that is that's the part of the story that never changes.
Right.
Kenny was going for the dog to get it out of the way. Kenny
Right.
Omega, that good Samaritan, upstanding citizen that he is.
Right.
Punk, I'm here to save the dog.
Yeah, because damn Matt Jackson super kicked the door.
Right.
You know, then hit the dog. The dog probably went sailing.
Nick's
Dog
probably like, oh, damn.
Yeah, Nick's like, oh, damn. Yeah, the chair comes flying. He gets knocked out. Poor dog's still up in the air while Ace fucking bites somebody. Probably have to go to the damn vet and get one of them cones on his head because, man, yeah, I'd be fighting over that too. So, but again, though, to me, it changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't really put fault. So you can still put fault on the Bucks for not being correct EVPs, right?
Hmm.
Because again, as EVP, they should have handled it different, right? Can't just be hard charging up in people's locker room like that. I mean, Jesus
Right.
Christ. I'm watching Tales from the Territory. If you were in like Jarrett's territory, you would have gotten knifed and shit. Yep.
Yes. See, I was thinking exactly that. Back during the 80s, this kind of shit would have never happened.
Oh
Or if it
shit.
happened, somebody would have been out, like blackballed out.
No, well, no. I mean, I know they would probably have been dead. I mean,
Maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
have you been watching that show?
Yeah.
Like literally, they talk about. I mean, Jarrett ripped some dude's eyeball out.
Which is nasty, by
I
the
mean,
way, to hear him describe it.
yeah. I mean, they're all the time talking about guns and
Hmm. Guns,
you know.
drugs, and fighting.
Yes, I mean, could you imagine if that was fucking like Dick Murdoch's dog? You rolled up in there and
Oh.
kicked halfway across the locker room,
Or Brody.
or yeah, Brody,
Bruiser Brody
fuck
would have fucked somebody up. Stan
Harley
Hansen,
Race.
same thing. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Stan. Oh yeah, you'd have gone for a ride with a bull rope around your neck. He'd have drug you all over the arena.
I mean, the stories about these guys, toughness wise, is infamous. It never goes away. And then you have these guys like, and I'm not gonna say that I won't enjoy the Bucks when they come back, because I'm sure they'll have some great matches. But I mean, I question the toughness of a guy that's gonna kick the door in. He's gonna really confront. If you're gonna confront CM Punk, you better go in there with your head on straight.
I don't
See,
know, man. I've seen him UFC. I think I would go in there with a little overconfidence.
listen, I get it, but he did go and train for that. He trained to get his ass whipped in 2 minutes. That's true. He trained. He went through a lot to get to that point. I'm just saying, a guy who's that skilled, maybe, possibly you go in there with a little bit of, I'm not going to kick the door open here.
No, you go in with the element of surprise. Like
Get
again,
him!
this isn't like Jake Paul or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Who kind of looks like he can't fight, but then kind of can at least take a punch. Can go a few rounds with you.
Yep.
Oh, this is CM Punk. I mean, he got gassed in both his UFC fights pretty quick, didn't he? If I remember right.
He got the snot knocked out of him. We'll put it that way. I try to say it as nicely as possible.
Yeah, and again, no slight to CM Punk because I damn sure can't UFC fight. But if I'm fucking Matt Jackson, I'm like, yeah, I seen this guy on UFC. I know what I'm getting into.
I can take him.
Yeah. Super kick the door, not realizing the dog, that old Larry, is on the other side of it, running around, probably, licking and hanging out, and else being petted by old Ace, and you sent the damn mutt sailing.
Meanwhile, the guy that he's really mad at, Hangman, is hanging out with the Dark Order in some boiler room at a stadium, filming vignettes for BTE.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's a good place for Hangman, right? Once he heard what was going on,
yeah,
he probably
get as far away as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would have too, for the record. I would have been like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, deuces. I mean, but again, Hangman needs to realize that you just can't say stupid shit like that.
Right.
And because ultimately, in the long run, I mean, you're looked at as the future of the business, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're at the point now, you're going to outlast CM Punk. You're going to outlast Jericho. You're going to outlast Omega because of your age.
And possibly the Bucks.
Oh, I think the Bucks too. But you know what I'm saying? Like in 10 years, this guy could be like it.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be the man. And he needs to realize that and start using his damn head sometimes.
More than just a tackling dummy, for the record. Much as I'm glad that he's okay and he's recovering from his concussion.
You didn't have to go there. But you went there.
Do you think that from that spot that maybe guys think twice before they do that flip spot on the clothesline?
No. Why would you? I mean, it's been done a 1,000 times.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And it only
One
takes
person.
that one time where somebody finally gets hurt, but it's just wild. Wrestling is wild, man. I love it though. I love it so bad.
Well, okay, so it's wild, but again, accidents happen.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he did it intentionally. I don't think it was a
Oh
coach
no.
or nothing like that. You know, Tony didn't. You know, Tony
He
don't
put out the
try.
hit on Hangman.
Yeah. Did
Did
you
you order
order
the?
those red? You're goddamn right, I did. Son, we live in a world where Larry the dog can't be kicked in the face.
Oh my god. You know you got to finish that. You got to actually make that rant up.
Do what?
You got to finish that rant. You can't leave it out there with just the dog getting kicked.
No, I'm leaving it out there. Too many
You
shenanigans.
want me in that ring. You
Yeah,
need me in that ring.
you need Larry in that locker room.
I mean, here's the thing, and I don't think Hangman like there's from this investigation, the weird stuff that's come out of it. Part of it was Punk was worried Hangman was going to shoot during their title match, and I'm like, so there's a lot of things I could see happening in AEW, but from a guy like Hangman Page, I don't see him going into there and saying I'm gonna fuck this guy up.
Uh, well, that's a little crazy, I guess. But is it possible? Sure.
Oh sure, of course, yeah.
You know. What I expected from Hangman? Nah, no.
Not
I
really.
think he's, maybe in 10 years, maybe. But I think he's dumb
Hangman.
enough not to realize his position with the company
Hmm.
and to realize that he should have been a locker room leader and not done that stupid shit on TV.
Hangman reminds me of what could have been with Dolph Ziggler had it been done right. All the
Mm,
tools, he can talk on the mic, he can go in the ring. Dolph Ziggler doesn't get utilized. Hangman got utilized.
I don't know about that. I don't know because Hangman is still relatively young. Like, so you're looking at
Sure.
Dolph in the twilight years. And no offense to Dolph, but
No,
what
no,
I'm
but he is probably towards the end of his career. I'd agree.
right, yeah. Whereas Hangman is still relatively maybe 5 years, 6 at the most. Um, I don't think it's too much. Well, maybe 7, maybe 7, I guess.
Hmm.
But you know what I'm saying. So he's still got a career to go,
Yeah.
and there might possibly come a time where him he'll need to be the leader. And now the problem is it's always going to be tainted because there are going to be people that realize what he did, what he caused, and
Hmm.
and it's going to be on him, right? It literally served no purpose whatsoever for him to go out there and do it, and for him to act like that and say that thing on TV.
I just think that maybe possibly this whole thing is happening because like Punk and Hangman and the Elite they just weren't feeling very oozy. They just didn't have it going on.
I'm not getting into that Uzi feeling shit.
Sami Zayn is a national treasure. He needs to be protected at all costs.
Yeah, but then when he be a Canadian national treasure,
You know what? I'm okay with that too. He
get
is.
it out of here.
He's a global icon.
Well, I might would give you a global icon.
Come on, he turned just a horrible storyline with him being the lackey for the bloodline into the most entertaining part of TV. especially on SmackDown.
Well, you know, I'm
I'm
not
not saying
feeling.
in all of wrestling, but I am going to say in WWE right now.
I'm just not feeling it though.
Yeah, not your thing, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's Roman.
You're just not feeling that OC either, I
No, I'm not a Uzi type of guy.
guess. Best segment on TV this past week is Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso going back and forth, and Jey is just laying into Sami. You're a fake ass Us, and you shouldn't even be wearing that shirt, and just going off. Sammy's like, no, no, the tribal chief wants peace. We're just trying to make peace. And Jey fires off, I don't give a damn what the tribal chief thinks. And Roman does that. He does a perfect job here. He's like standing there. He's kind of looking down while this is happening behind him. And as soon as he says, I don't give a damn what the tribal chief thinks, head pops up, starts looking around like, what? It was great. It was great.
Well, you watch your WWE then, buddy. I'm not
Hey,
following.
watch your wrestling, Brian. Watch your wrestling. And sometimes your sports entertainment.
Nah, nah. I mean, again, I'm still sticking by. I think I got about 2 months left.
Mm-hmm.
That's Triple H's time for 6 months to figure some things out, and then we'll flip it on for a little bit and see what's shaking. So
I have a feeling that at the Rumble is when things will start going a different direction.
yeah, but
Maybe not completely, but a different direction.
so how though? Right? I'm just curious how you think it'll go a different direction, or how you think it could go a different direction.
I think that the Rumble opens the door for once you start on that road to WrestleMania, you have that opening of here's where we're going with this. Here's what we can do with this kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to, I think the obvious prediction first is that Cody comes back from injury. I think that's probably a sure, yeah, a closest to a sure thing as you can get.
Okay, all right. So let's stop right there a minute. Right. So I'm willing to concede that the whole tribal chief gimmick and the oos and all that good stuff is probably the hottest ticket on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to concede that.
Sonny, thanks you.
But however, let's look at this realistic now,
Okay.
right? So that the whole storyline, right, is like supernova, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not because it's drawn heat for Roman Reigns. It's because they're now portraying them in a different light, right? There's a little bit of hijinks going on, and Sami Zayn's getting his just desserts, and he's in kind of like a main event storyline. But at the end of the day, they're not in a main event storyline,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they really don't have nobody that they're feuding with. They're just going out there and having a good time, right? And I get that. That's cool, right? Because again, they somehow or another they become the biggest ticket on the planet. But at the end of the day, do you honestly think that Cody is the one to upend Roman Reigns and he's going to lose? You'll probably start to cool off some. Is Cody that guy?
So here's what I'm thinking will happen. I'm thinking that somehow Austin Theory is going to come away before Mania as WWE champion. Now notice I didn't say Universal champion, I just said WWE champion. I think what's going to happen here is we're going to see the redividing of the belts. And I think what we're also going to see is we're going to start seeing more of a here's your Raw brand, here's your SmackDown brand, and more of a separation of the two. And I feel like what they're doing right now is they're trying to figure out where is Roman going to be. Because right now, I mean, you have to have them everywhere because you don't have another top attraction. I think
Well,
it's feasible to say that Cody could be a top attraction there.
so that's where I'll beg to differ to a point, right?
Hmm.
So they do have top attractions. However, the top attractions have been, oh, how you say, Superman punched into oblivion.
You mean like Miz was just now on Raw?
Oh, did
Kind
he, did he
kind
take a
of
Superman punch?
kind of embarrassing. Miz just got knocked out by Roman.
Oh, that's fantastic. See how that works out? Are they stalking me on Twitter?
Wouldn't be the first time.
God, so I should have Meltzered that one. God, they're listening to us. I got word that he's going to Superman punch Miz.
Sources say.
Yeah, tonight's Raw. But so again, you have talent that could have done it,
Yeah.
right? But they didn't back then, and now Roman is again. He is like he's money,
Hmm.
right? The whole storyline is money. You need somebody that's going to be able to come along and up in that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Austin Theory cashing in Money in the Bank on Roman should not work.
So
And here's
go ahead.
well, here's why. As soon as Theory comes out with a referee, you know who should be running behind him? About 6 people that are going to stop him from getting to the ring every time he tries to cash in. Sammy, the Usos, the other guy.
Solo Sokoa.
Yeah. There's 4. Paul Heyman, if he's so inclined to move them little legs. I mean, literally, like you know as well as I do, when they go to cash in, they're normally running out behind the curtain, dragging a referee.
Right.
So if I'm Roman, right, if I'm the tribal chief, I'm going to plan that, oh, you guys wait in the back, but you should probably watch the doors or something to make sure he doesn't come out. But the first time you see him, get to the ring. And they should break up any attempt that he tries.
And while I can see exactly why that would work that way, I don't think Roman gets pinned to lose that title. I think he
Okay.
does like a Seth Rollins kind of cash in, makes it a triple threat. Roman is, we'll just say, distracted and ends up losing the title, quote unquote. And that's where Paul Heyman begins to work his magic and saying, well, I think we've talked about this idea before, too. We did negotiate that it was a title on the line, but it was, and pick whatever one you don't want them to have anymore. And then that's the one. So our tribal chief still reigns supreme on whichever show they want him to be on.
Yep. All right. So let's try that route. So let's say it's Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns,
Mm-hmm.
and you interject Austin Theory into the mix.
Right.
Doesn't kind of work. You see what I'm saying?
I don't
To me,
think
it
Bray's going to be
doesn't.
put in a main event situation, which is a shame because I feel like he should be, but I think they're going to keep him as far away from a title and main events as they possibly can. I think they're going to keep him on the back burner for as long as they can until they absolutely have to use him.
Okay, but again, though, Bray is one of those that has the ability and the manpower
Mm-hmm.
that should be able to go toe to toe with Roman, beat Roman, and it's okay.
I agree. And don't get me wrong. I'd love to see that, but at the same time, I feel like what they're trying to do with Roman is set up that they want Roman and Rock at Mania, and I think they also know that they can't get there with the title involved. Because if The Rock beats him, that just come on. Now it
Yeah,
screams WWE. Don't get me wrong; it screams like something they would do. But I just don't think that would be the smart thing to do.
Well, I don't think The Rock beats him. Honestly, I don't see The Rock beating Roman.
Hmm.
And I mean, so okay, cool. It's The Rock, right?
Hmm.
But again, so you have dumped so much time and energy into Roman that you have turned him like supernova.
Right.
Now, I don't even think if you had 6 months build up with The Rock, and I'm talking like good build up with The Rock, that you can like take the title from Roman with The Rock. And again, once again, you're talking, you have to have somebody that can overcome the family, whatever you want to call
Hmm.
it. And the, the Rock's not going to, I don't think The Rock can do it unless he, goes out there and tracks down everybody that's lost to Roman and, has them interfere all at once or whatever. Um, I mean, again, then now the opposite has kind of happened because now Roman is so good, you're really going to lose. You're going to lose your butt when you finally take that title off of him.
Well, and that's where the real challenge is. We talked about it multiple times. How many times did they book Roman in a situation where Roman should have lost, but he didn't? And now, as we are almost 2 years, 2 full years into his reign, it's now like, okay, so unless you book God to beat Roman, like everybody's gonna be like, well, he shouldn't have lost, and that's a shame. It was hard enough when Roman Reigns was basically fighting an uphill battle no matter what he did.
Right.
Get handed bad dialogue in a script. He reads it. It sounds horrible. Goes into a match, takes just a horrible amount of abuse, bumps like crazy, wins after his second spear. Like, okay. Sooner or later, the guy's got to lose. It doesn't happen. Now he's, like you said, supernova. I mean, the guy's white hot. And, well, who else is left?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I guess that's the best problem to have, right?
True, true,
He's
because now you've got
real.
a guy that is on top, and finally, after you've made people gag on it for years,
Yeah,
finally, people are like, Roman guy's okay.
yeah. I mean, literally now Vince can be like, "Yep, I told you so."
Yeah, right, right. And now
Uh,
you'd probably have to sign an NDA for that.
yeah, it's. I don't know how, and hopefully they don't do it before my 6 month thing is
Well,
up.
6 months puts us at the Rumble, doesn't it?
It might be. I'll have to look and see exactly when he did it, but it might be more like January, early January than that. So,
So day one, if they decide to do an event for that.
let's do that. No, I think didn't they cancel day one?
So supposedly it's going to be like a house show, kind of like Starcade. They made it into a house show.
Oh, that's fucking great. All right, so let's do. When's the Rumble?
The Rumble is. Let's take a look. Uh-oh, Dominic Emo Mysterio is out. When is Royal Rumble? Saturday, January 28th.
All right, so let's do this then. Saturday, January 28th
Mm-hmm.
will be my return to the WWE.
Uh-oh. Are you going to be in the Rumble? Are you going to be number 30?
No, I can't tell you all that. I've signed this. So again, and I mean, it's not like the company's going to fold by then. So
That actually works because July 25th is when Helmsley took over.
Okay, so that's about right then.
Yeah.
So I will be a man of my word, and 6 months I will go back to turning on Raw and SmackDown. You're not getting me to watch NXT.
I don't think
You,
anybody's watching NXT.
yeah, you can forget that one, but I will go back to watching Raw and SmackDown, and we'll get into it. But the other thing too about The Rock, and what's absolutely crazy is you never know what certain parent companies may or may not want you to do.
Right.
And with the fact that The Rock is now probably going to become the tent pole of the DC universe,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they may very well have been like, look, no offense, but you're not going back to WWE TV because that's a competitor. But in the meantime, if you don't go back, we'll make you into a billionaire before you're 45, and we'll give you exactly what you want as far as like his ideas for DC and stuff.
Can't wait for wait to see what they do next because Gunn and that other guy, I don't remember his name, is taking over DC instead of Walter Hamada now.
Yeah, well, they should have got rid of Hamada a while ago.
I
Some,
wonder if they'll continue to push with Ezra Miller as Flash.
yes. I mean, they're already talking about putting him in number two.
They're talking about a sequel already?
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, again, though, you have to understand that. So the Flash was going to be like the soft reboot
Right.
of the whole, and so they were that. That was again going to be a big old franchise type deal, and I think they just recently come out was like, yeah, we're making Flash too, and Ezra Miller's in it. So,
Jeez. And I
yeah.
quote, "Boo."
Well, I mean, let's get there first, right? So, who? I mean, if the guy's still out walking,
Right.
and I don't know what story was told for him to get out of charges or whatever,
I
but
mean, these guys in Hollywood are basically bulletproof anyway, unless you Harvey Weinstein them. And even that took how long?
well, I mean, it took till somebody was brave enough to
Yeah, yeah.
say it. Um, so yeah, but I mean, I would imagine, especially after the success of Black Adam,
Hmm.
and I think that's kind of what led um, to getting Cavill back as Superman, and they're already talking about even The Rock on like some interviews, the way he talks is he's now like one of the cornerstones,
Right, right.
and I'm okay with it because I absolutely love Black Adam. I think it's probably might be the best outside of the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn Suicide Squad.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you
Wow.
haven't seen it, you better go see it. Um, but anyway, the way he talks leads me to believe that he has like positioned himself in a spot that um, DC needs, right?
Hmm.
And again, if this is where he needs to be, hopefully Warner Brothers Discovery would realize that, oh, wait, AEW is under their umbrella and the WWE is under their umbrella. Oh, Dwayne, come here. Dwayne,
You
come here.
did not
Come
just
here.
say Dwayne.
Yeah, come here, Dwayne. So yeah, but so we're gonna need you to back out of the Rumble and not go to the WWE program.
Oh, and he would definitely be done
Oh
with
yeah,
it.
because again, he's like they're on the verge of doing something that. So the way I look at it is, so all these Marvel movies, right? They were great at first, right? But then the last few have been not so much the TV shows, but like some of these movies have been just straight into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And you're hoping Black Panther, when it comes out in a few weeks, can start to push up again. But it's just a cycle, right? Everybody's getting tired of comic book stuff. And if you don't knock it out the park every time, then this is what happens. The mediocre movies, become bad, and
Right.
it just compounds and compounds everything else. But with this, it's like renewed vigor in DC movies because now we put one, and I dare say Black Adam could rank like even against the better Marvel movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it was good. It was really good, and again, that's thanks to The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock has a vision, and they bought into The Rock's vision. So if The Rock is, you know, and they're moving ahead with his vision, or he's high up in the food chain, I'm not letting him show up on WWE television. If one of my subsidiaries is AEW.
Right. Well, and you got to be careful. You have to make sure that people are aware that there's no risk of him getting hurt and unable to film Black Adam 2 or Justice League 2 or whatever the hell, right? Because you have to make sure he's protected. You have to protect that investment. And I mean, we're in the middle of a crazy time when it comes to entertainment. I mean, that's why Batista retired when he did. It's why, um, damn it. Well, Batista's a better example, so we'll just leave it at that. But I mean, it's the truth of the matter is these guys that are breaking out and finally doing other things, you can't risk going out there and pulling a quad or tearing a tricep. You just
Right,
can't.
right. And I mean, Cena is no different, right?
Right,
So
right.
maybe at first, you know, when they're filming Suicide Squad, you know, I'm like, okay, so here's the contract, and maybe there's not a clause in there,
Hmm.
but by the time we get to Peacemaker, I would have gotten a clause in there
Well, and
that,
he's probably going to be the next one to really be on big in the big screen as far as Peacemaker's concerned.
oh yeah, but I mean, I would have made sure I got a clause in there,
Hmm.
that you're not competing in the WWE ring. You're not even going to compete in AEW ring. However, if there's promotional work that needs to be done, you may be called on for that.
Right.
And I really don't think, like Cena or The Rock would have a problem with that. Because again, what they're working on and what they're doing is now bigger than, the WWE. This is, I mean, The Rock was what, for years, like the highest grossing fucking action star?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much from the Scorpion King on through now, The Rock has been kind of like Will Smith was back in the day. Blockbuster after blockbuster, just nailing it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, and now I'm telling you, now if he signed a multi-year deal which I'm sure he has, because again, when they were redoing the Snyderverse and The Rock started dropping hints that he wanted Black Adam to face the Justice League,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's how invested he is. He's like calling shots, and now that he's a proven commodity to a new company in Warner Brothers Discovery. I hope they change that name. I really do.
I'm sure they will. I mean, they're in the early stages of this merger. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that they're going to change before it's all said and done.
But again, with him being now a proven commodity,
Mm-hmm.
and they now realize, oh, hey, this he was right. Let's follow his path. And again, he's still pushing for Black Adam versus the Justice League, and now he wants Suicide Squad thrown in the mix. I would imagine these contracts again have a clause,
Mm-hmm.
or I would hope they would have a clause where no, you're not climbing in nobody's wrestling ring. So, and
Hey,
if that's the case, there goes Roman versus The Rock.
did you
Or at least
notice?
The Rock win it, because then maybe a one-off, but that's about it.
So, since we're on the topic of DC, did you notice just how well Gotham Knights has been playing with their with fans? It first when the previews started coming out for this game, people were actually like, "This game is gonna be awful." They were just talking smack about it, but it's actually caught quite a bit of popularity. Now, granted, some of the control schemes are a little frustrating because it's a little glitchy here and there, but I mean, I think the game's great. I don't know how far you've gotten into it, but it's a pretty solid game.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to say you might be on an island on that one, but do I think it's okay? Yes. Do I think the storyline's good? Yes. But at the end of the day, because to me it's so slow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I'll play it when I get a chance. Some days I might dump 15 minutes into it, and other times I might dump an hour, 2 hours into it. It's the mechanics are just so slow and clunky to me,
Yeah.
and like sometimes, I mean, I can be on top of a building looking down, and looking down at the bad guys, be like, okay, well, where's my silent attack? Because I got the
Oh
solo
yeah,
locked
yeah.
up. It's like, okay, where's my silent attack? And I can't get the silent attack to come up. So ultimately, I'm like, well, just do an aerial attack.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when you do that, the other 20 people,
Yeah, they all see you, and your
yeah,
bonus option is gone at that point. Yeah.
right,
That
yeah,
that
yeah,
pisses me off because we're spoiled though because we had that play mechanic with Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum, all of those, and you would get literally you could stand on a ledge, and you'd have the icons for aerial or for silent takedown,
mm-hmm.
and it was actually a lot faster. That's where my question comes in for that though. Like, how did they go backwards with that part? Like,
Yeah,
I really enjoyed the game, but it did seemingly go
but they're not
backwards.
the same company.
Oh, I thought it was still the same
No,
production company.
no, no.
Really?
That's not a Rockstar game.
Uh huh.
And if I remember right, Rockstar did the Arkham trilogy,
They
not that
did.
oddball game, not the oddball one, because there's actually four in the Arkham.
Oh, Escape from Blackgate. Yeah.
No. Damn, I got the special edition over here somewhere. Um, it's not Escape from Blackgate. Let me
Because
look
it's like
that up.
called Arkham Origins or something like that. And it,
Yeah,
it was on DS. Actually, it was really good, but it was on DS.
no. This was on console.
Oh,
Uh, Hold on, let me look this up. It might still be Origins. Yeah, there's Origins.
because it
Yeah,
was.
that's it.
So you,
Origins.
yeah, I never played the console version of it. I know that there is one of it, but I played it on DS and I was like, well, this is not too bad. I mean, it was, yeah, you know how DS games were. It was dumbed down and digitized to a point where it was pixelized and it just wasn't as good, but it was playable. Um, I enjoyed it. I mean, the Arkham series, I think, if you're playing Gotham Knights, though, the Arkham series kind of sets you up to expect that it's going to be similar, even though,
Yeah,
to your point, it's a different company.
yeah, it's a different company. And again, I understand that you don't want to just swipe like everything from
Yeah,
Arkham, but you would think though if I'm playing Batgirl, who's more in line with Batman, and I'm on a gargoyle, I would have the ability to drop down, pick them up, take them up.
yes. Yeah, I noticed none of them have that ability,
Yeah,
which actually really sucks.
yeah. Again, I don't expect the Red Hood to do it because he doesn't have the tools.
Hmm.
I don't expect Nightwing to do it because he doesn't have the tools, right? But Robin
Both Robin
and
and Batgirl,
Batgirl,
yeah. Yeah.
maybe, yeah, because they have a stupid utility belt.
So I got to Mr. Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it took me, I can't tell you how many tries it took me to beat Mr. Freeze. Because you get to a certain part where the first part you get to, you have to do an easy task. And you're like, all right, cool, this is going to be easy. And you expect that it's going to be like, well, kind of like the first time you fight him in the Arkham games. Smack him around a little bit, back off. Smack around a little bit, back off. So you're kind of ready for that routine. But it changes it up, and now you're like, oh crap, I can't get away from what's getting ready to happen. So it took a long time to beat that one. Then getting into, I'm trying to be careful because I don't know how far you've gotten, but also I don't know how far any of our listeners have gotten. I don't want to do spoilers.
Well,
I've
you know
all,
what I say about our listeners.
what's that?
I don't care. Spoil it.
Wow, that's the thoughts and opinions of Brian Taylor do not
I
indicate
don't
that.
care. They wouldn't expect anything less out of me.
That's fair. That's fair. But Mr. Freeze is basically sets up a weather machine,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to
Oh, no,
find a
it for
diffuser.
me. Oh
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, there you go. So you have to find a diffuser and install it. So you do
Mm-hmm.
that. It's simple, right? You're there, and you're just expecting. You know he's gonna come out because it's the end of the map.
Mm-hmm.
But you're figuring it. At least for me, I'm figuring, okay, this is gonna be a classic Arkham bad guy boss battle. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
waiting. And he gets there, and it's at first it's like that. Like he's got his freeze gun, and he's got this his duck technique where he shoots basically freeze missiles at you.
Mm-hmm.
But you can dodge them pretty easy. Get to the second phase of that, and by the way, much like Elden Ring, there's multiple phases to each big boss. Pisses me off. Anyway, you get to the second phase, and now he's got a laser sight on his freeze gun. And instead of it
Mm-hmm.
being a one-shot blast, it's like a goddamn laser.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go fast enough. He's gonna hit you with it. You just got to hope that you somehow have enough health. And mind you, I'm playing this on easy. So for those of you that are like Stan sucks at this game, yeah, maybe. But I mean, if you got to play it on easy to get through it at that, that's an indication that maybe your difficulty is a little bit higher than it needs to be. Um, but that one was actually fairly gratifying. Getting through, like, there's, you have to find the penguin and you have to solve a bunch of different, I wouldn't say puzzles, but you have to find a whole bunch of things. It's kind of like one of those quests of go search and get it and bring it back kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you go through that a few times and finally you get to a point where he'll talk to you. And if you're Robin, he's like, "Get away from me, kid." If you're the Red Hood, he's like, "I didn't think you had it in you." Like it's these different. I like that they've written it differently for whichever character you're operating as.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the missions actually aren't bad. The control technique when you're on the street on the motorcycle is cool. But there's this part where and I'm positive now that you've run into it, where you get to certain areas, like where you have to hit X to make something work, and if you're not at the right spot, your character will move, but it's like really slow,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like glitches around little corners and stuff. That's the stuff that I'm hoping that with the next patches that they send out that they fix. Because honestly, the storyline itself is good, just like you said. There's really some stuff that is true to the comic, and then there's some stuff where I feel like they take some creative liberty, but it really plays well.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I'm okay, I guess, to a point about the creative liberty, although I'm not really buying the fact that Batman's dead, considering that the guy they had him kill was Roz and
Yeah, yeah.
Talia's, you know, Talia's involved with this.
Mhm.
So, again, I can almost see him popping up in a DLC or something. And, unless I've missed something, and maybe nobody's gotten to the Court of Owls yet. Maybe he's part of the Court of Owls. But, I mean, I could almost see if they're smart. And again, I think I said this before, then um, next you would get Lucius Fox's son, who's a Batman in the comics.
Mhm.
You would get Tim Drake, not Tim Drake, Damian Wayne, and
Yeah.
who's the other missing?
So Damian Wayne was honestly the who I thought was gonna be Robin.
Mm,
And so
um,
when it starts and it's Tim Drake, I'm like, wait, did we just go back in time?
yeah, I mean, maybe you get, Batwoman,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the other Batgirl. Uh,
Huntress, Stephanie Brown.
well, no, not her. It's oh crap, it's the one with the full bat mask. The
Cassandra Cain.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
that's weird
no,
because
no,
like
no. In that Batwoman, Batwoman is Kane.
no, that's Kathy Kane. So there's Kathy Kane, Kane, and then there's Cassandra Cain, Cain.
Is
The
that the
one that
Oreo girl?
I don't know, is she Oriental or is she African American? I thought she was African American.
No.
But she's the mute one, right? She doesn't speak.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, yeah. So that one is Cassandra Cain, Cain, and she is the daughter of an assassin. But that one would be cool. I agree with you there. I'd like to
Well,
see them kind of broaden it out too, and maybe even bring in um some more from the DC universe in.
but isn't the Canes, the cousins or whatever? That's Batwoman's family.
Yes, yes. Katie
So
Kane or Kathy Kane is Batwoman.
yeah, so if they're in it, then it only leads to reason that Batwoman should make an appearance somewhere down the line too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Is
you're
it,
right, Cassandra Cain.
has there been word about DLC? I hadn't heard anything or seen anything yet.
No, but they're stupid. Like if they can fix certain things,
Hmm.
right? And again, you don't want to give me the ability to hoist somebody up to a gargoyle. Great.
Right.
Fix your sneak attacks so I can pull them off from a building, right? Because if I have the aerial attack flashing, I should have the sneak attack flashing because they're pretty much the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So if I have one, I should have both. Well, in the same time, to me, if you speed it up,
Hmm.
then I'm okay with it. To me, it's just so slow, so clunky, especially when you're fighting multiple people. And give me 60 frames per second.
Yeah. How do you not be able to do that on PS5?
They chose not to. To me, this is one of these games that if they it would be a blockbuster if they pushed it off for 6 months.
Is this
Fixed
one of
what
those
needed
games
to
where
be fixed.
is this one of those situations where kind of like Avengers, where if they release
Yeah.
enough patches, they'll catch up to it, or do you think they'll ignore it and just let it die?
Oh no, I don't think they'll let it die because um okay, so who's back? I just got a tweet from the WWE. Guess who's back? Oh, Oscar.
Yeah, Asuka and Alexa Bliss came back tonight.
and Alexa. Oh, okay, good for them. Anyway, I don't think they'll let it die because it has potential. Right?
Hmm.
To me, it's kind of like Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk has potential. Ultimately, they started to realize, oh, wow, we need to get on this, and we have a fan base, and the fan base is hungry for more stuff, and let's turn it into what we wanted it to be, but we're going to do it live as we go. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
kind of the same thing. Like, I mean, think about it. Who wouldn't want to be Damian Wayne? I would. I'd buy your DLC.
Well, especially the sword action with him, because I'm sure that would
Yeah.
play really nice.
Yeah. I mean, and I still think we're missing a Robin somewhere. Um, Jason Todd, Tim Drake,
Damian
Dick, Gra-
Wayne, Dick Grayson.
Damian Wayne. Oh, I mean the Robin from Dark Knight. You could throw that one in there too, and the female Robin.
Oh yeah, Carrie Kelly.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So you could do a lot. There's potential,
Hmm.
and if you're smart, you fix what needs to be fixed. And again, I don't think it would be hard to boost and tweak the speed a little.
Well, and that's what gets me. Like with Marvel's Avengers, we did you play the beta also?
I think so. I think I actually like the beta.
Yeah. So the beta itself for Avengers was significantly faster
Hmm.
and easier to pick up and play anytime you want it. Like
Hmm.
now it feels a lot clunkier, which is weird because it still plays nicely, but it is there's a lot of clunky parts. But now you've got more characters, they've got more maps that you can play. There's constantly new missions that are available, so it's refreshed almost all the damn time. With
Hmm.
Gotham Knights, you have that opportunity there. It's very much like that release, because we both started at the same time with Marvel's Avengers, and I think we had similar experiences where we were just playing through and finally got to the end game. We're like, okay, now what? And then it
Right.
took forever for DLC to finally come out. But when it did, it came out so fast. It's like, well, shit, how do you keep up? Like I got the PS5 version just so I could make sure I got all of the characters, including Spider-Man. Which, by the way, Spider-Man's a great character in that game.
So honestly, since I put it down, I never picked it back up. I tried, but it wasn't the same. So I said, they kind of screwed. That's the risk you take though when you put out an unfinished game.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge risk.
Yeah, you're gonna find some that'll stick through and they'll love it, and then you'll find others that are like, nope, I'm out.
Well, and I can't say I blame people. I mean, video games nowadays, a day one release is $70. You know, Marvel Avengers, we both got the like collector edition pre-order, and
Mm-hmm.
it what was at 120.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Gotham Knights was 70 for the standard edition, which is what I got. I think you got the deluxe. What exactly came with the deluxe?
For Avengers.
Gotham Knights.
Oh, just costumes, I think.
Okay, so like I got the standard edition because I don't think I remember ever hearing about anything exclusive for it. But even the standard was $70. So you get to a game that you paid $70 for, your expectation is this thing better be a finished product.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, Elden Ring, it had its glitches, but it's Elden Ring's glitches were fun. Like literally, we joked about it for weeks about the map glitches where you could get hundreds of thousands of runes and all that stuff. Of course, none of those are available now, by the way. All of them patched.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's the difference. Elden Ring was a vast like world where you could literally play and play and play. Hell, you could still replay it and unlock different endings and all that stuff. Versus, now looking at looking at Gotham Knights, where yeah, it's going to take a while to beat it. I mean, I'm positive of that. I feel like I'm making good headway in the actual main storyline, but there's still so many side missions that by the time you beat all of them, you could probably be a year to a year and a half down the road, and maybe into some DLC.
What, on Gotham Knights?
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you're playing it on, I think if you're playing it on standard difficulty, like I'm playing it on easy because it's been a really long time since I played Batman games, like the Arkham games, and I wanted to make sure that I could at least enjoy myself for the first bit. Because you got
Mm-hmm.
to dive back in and play it on harder difficulties to unlock better stuff anyway.
Hmm.
At least that's my understanding of it.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't gotten in the. Again, I just pick it up, play it randomly, run through a bunch of, or go beat up a bunch of people, and then go back in and look to see if there's anything new to create.
So, okay, this is actually really funny. Matt Riddle, for Halloween, is dressed up as Ezekiel, and he's dragged Elias down to the ring with him. So he's dressed up as Elias's brother. That Matt Riddle is going to be the next R-Truth. It's just,
Fine by me.
I mean, he's a funny dude. He gets people laughing, and he can wrestle. So, okay. I mean, I guess this is what their chosen role is for. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
just not a Matt fan.
yeah. Hmm. Oh yeah. This I did see this in Lords of Pain today. So Carmella, who has been out recently,
Mm-hmm.
apparently was recently in the hospital, unfortunately because of having a miscarriage. Um, definitely our thoughts go out to her, but she just posted this out of the blue because October is um, pregnancy and infant loss awareness month, and she posted a very emotional post on Instagram, and it's crazy. You know, the seeing that sort of stuff is for me. It reminds me of a lot of things that have happened, but at the same time, it's um, sad, and I'm sad for both her and Corey Graves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always um, bad when
Yeah.
something like that happens.
Yeah, yeah, and I try to make sure that when we're going through the show that if there's something that's newsworthy, we bring it up. But I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but that kind of thing seemed kind of newsworthy. And as long as we're not going overboard about it, try to be careful. Oh, Emma made her return against Ronda Rousey last week to Neil
Oh,
Dashwood back in WWE.
well, that's gotta be good. Oh, hey, welcome back. Go face Ronda.
And she lost to Ronda.
Oh yeah, that doesn't shock me. Doesn't shock me at all.
Strong rumors going around right now that Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo are both being sought after to come back to WWE. That would make sense. They got released in the midst of all of the COVID firings, or pandemic firings. I think that's probably the better way to word that. So it makes sense to bring them back. The only thing is, you got Charlotte, you've got Bayley, you've got Becky, Bianca. Insert names here. You got a bunch of them. What are you going to do with this lady? What are you going to do with both of them?
Right.
You know, it's the question that begs an answer over in AEW too. You brought back Saraya, who is apparently cleared to compete. You got Tony Storm, you got Britt Baker, you got Jade Cargill, you got Jamie Hayter. Rio just came back. Again, what's your plan? What are you gonna do to keep all these ladies busy? At least AEW tends to do it a little bit better. They're getting better. I mean, they're not awful with it, whereas WWE sticks to the same five Usually it rotates the same 5 or 6 women in and out of a storyline. And I didn't even mention Liv Morgan, Sonya Deville, and so on. I mean, there's a lot of top talents there.
Yeah. All right. So unfortunately, I must cut this episode short. Duty calls for work.
Okay. All right.
I will explain it to you later about what's going on,
No problem.
but give the fans my best.
Absolutely.
Blow them kisses if you're so inclined, and I'll text you later and let you know what happened.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll talk to you.
See ya.
Bye.
So we'll bid Brian adieu as he goes and does his thing. He's got some things to handle on his end, so we'll keep everybody informed as we continue to roll on down the line here. We only got a little bit left in the show as it is. One thing I wanted to identify out here for all of our awesome listeners is that, we are happy to be back on Spreaker, and our numbers on Spreaker have seen a pretty solid download lift. So I want to thank all of you wonderful fans for checking us out and listening to us. I will identify also that with moving to Spreaker, we're still keeping our archive on Acast. So you can always catch up with the archive there. Acast seems to have a pretty solid download traction as well, so it's difficult trying to decide which provider I want to stick with. But as long as Spreaker is our live option, we'll stick with that. I appreciate you guys letting us talk a little bit of comic books because, goddamn, comic books are fun. I dig it. I mean, we're all adults, and when it comes down to it, it's about doing something that you love and enjoying some time with something that's a fun hobby or a fun thing, and that's what comic books and cool movies and cool video games can bring out, right? So it's not just wrestling that we cover, although we love it. It's all kinds of things, including action figures, which, hey, quick heads up, this week I actually was able to locate the elusive Thunder Rosa figure. Finally got that here. I've got all of AEW's Unrivaled Series 9 finally. And Series 10 is the next one to combat. And then I did end up getting CM Punk. So that was pretty cool. I'm just sitting here, and as I brought it up because I'm looking at my set here. I'm looking at the pop-up stage that you can buy off of Ringside Collectibles. So we were talking about the women's division here, talking about how it's interesting to see like Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green get an opportunity to potentially come back, which I think would be great. I mean, both ladies are immensely talented, but it's such a full roster right now. And the challenge for anybody, not just Triple H and Tony Khan, but anybody with such a sizable women's roster that has so many potentially top names, what do you do? How do you handle it? How do you juggle all of these? And that's really the question. Saraya coming back makes that question even harder. So the challenge in all of that is, how do you keep fans engaged, and how do you make sure that they are tuning in at the right times? I mean, there's a lot of complaints, like for example from Fightful Select's Kate Hensler. She always talks about how women's wrestling, as far as AEW is concerned, is always at the same exact spot in Dynamite. It's usually that 9:30, 9:20 slot. And she's got a good point. I mean, it's consistently at the same position, and usually it's 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15, depending on who's wrestling. I will say AEW will take the chance more often than WWE, especially lately, with main event positions for like Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, those kinds of matchups. But the question is still, hey, how are you going to utilize and potentially innovate these roster members, because you have to give them an opportunity to really shine, and they're just not really doing it in a way that maximizes that roster. I think what happens with a guy like, we were talking about it earlier, with a guy like JD, who screams and shouts and cusses, and he's like one of those mindsets where I'm going to scream louder than anybody else, so that'll prove I'm right. But I think what he forgets, what we all forget, is that the challenge is, how do you take, we'll just say 20. It's probably an overestimate. But how do you take 20 immensely talented women, find them all TV time on a Dynamite or a Rampage or a Raw or a SmackDown, and still find time for Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and when he's back, Cody Rhodes, and insert people here? Do you A, improve your booking and storyline with your women, or B, blindly dedicate more time and hope that fans tune in? That's a tough, tough decision because, yes, of course, all storylines you would like to see them, have an opportunity to blossom and engage fans and naturally spread. But the truth is, it just doesn't always happen that way. Imagine you're sitting backstage. Imagine you're the writer. Imagine you're the booker, and you're sitting backstage at Chartways Arena this past week for Dynamite. You got all these segments, not to mention the teaser for the Elite coming back, and at some point you have to put together the segments for the women. And you get to that point and you're like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep pushing the envelope here with Britt and Saraya to tease that matchup. I don't know if it's going to happen at Full Gear, Revolution, but we're going to keep that line going. We're going to keep Toni Storm in the limelight. Can't forget to show Nyla Rose. Can't forget to show Jade Cargill. Oh, by the way, Riho's going to come back. I mean, you've got so many moving parts. So what do you do first? How do you book it first? How much time do you designate to it? Who are you going to take time away from? That's the huge challenge for anybody. It's not just the women's division. It's just entirely on how to book a wrestling show. So yeah, I mean, there's a huge challenge there, and you want to see ratings increase. I mean, come on, say what you want. If you're one of those wrestling fans that's like, I can't stand AEW. They book crappy. They don't build stories. Blah 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 blah. I've heard it. I've read it. I've seen it. But if you're one of those, so okay, look at WWE. That question is still there. How do you make that improvement? You're watching both. You want to see both grow. And you know why? Because that means your wrestling business and sports entertainment business, if you're a WWE diehard, it grows because there's more companies out there, and it only stands to improve because there's more companies out there. And it doesn't mean every single other company out there is legitimate television competition for WWE or AEW or even Impact. But what it does mean is the more the merrier. The bigger your base, the more you have to choose from. And how do you grow your fan base, but you make sure you're engaging them with content every single quarter or every single segment of your show? So you have to be choosy. You have to pick and you have to say, all right, well, Thunder Rosa draws well in these segments. Let's put her here. Well, when it comes to the 9:30 or 9:20 time frame or segment, we know that, and again, I'm using hypothetical numbers because I'm not Brandon Thurston and the rest of the WrestleNomics guys, but let's just say arbitrarily we know that Britt Baker in her segments she's got at least 800,000 viewers. And we also know that when Thunder Rosa is on TV, she's usually got 700,000. So if you've got those two ladies and you're trying to push a story for them because you want fans to tune in, but you also know you've got Saraya, formerly known as Paige, who's a huge ratings draw right now and is drawing 700. You want to fit her into the mix, right? Because you want to get possibly 1.5 to 2.5, 2.4 in a rating, right? 2.4 million viewers. But that's all like pie in the sky numbers. It's all you're looking at a statistic and you're trying to make an educated guess. Never mind the fact that you're trying to give opportunities. You see what I'm saying? It snowballs. You've got so many different moving parts that, man, it's really hard to keep up. I don't envy the position. I feel bad for the bookers like Triple H and Tony Khan when they have to look at that. Not because they have a horrible life or whatever, but I feel bad for that position because, hey, imagine the challenge of saying, listen, Sammy Guevara, again, hypothetical. Hey, Sammy, I know we had a 10-minute match scheduled for you this week, but sorry, buddy, but Sheeta is drawing better numbers than you. We got to put them on TV. Are you going to do that? Like, is that what you would do? Or are you going to stick it out with a person that's got a storyline? Like, for example, Jericho, who's Ring of Honor champion. I complain about it, but it is drawing attention. So you got to play that out. All of these moving parts. These are tough decisions. I don't know that I would be able to sit down and book a show better. I'm not going to ever say that, God, I could write a better show than you, Triple H, or Tony Khan, or Brett Lauderdale over and Gabe, whoever. The truth of the matter is, I don't know. With Kate Ultimate Championship Wrestling, when it comes to putting together show ideas, it's a collaborative effort. There's no one single person in our team that says, I'm writing this show, we're booking it this way, and we're going to grab these talents. They're ideas. We put them together, and then we give them out to each other. And if my idea sucks, Brian will say, hey, that's not really what we want to do, but what if we did it this way? Oh, cool, I got it. And then I can grab an idea and kind of pile on. And then Mr. DeVore and Mr. De La Rosa will throw in their ideas, or maybe they'll just say, nope, we're not going that direction at all, because they're the guys in charge. So they'll say, we're going to do it a different way, go with this idea. And then it's our job to build on that. So what I'm saying, the overall arching theme here is that there's so many moving parts into this industry that we love so much, that pro wrestling and sports entertainment, that it is frustrating when we see wrestling fans and podcasters and members of the media come out there and try to make names for themselves, when the reality is it's more about it is more about what's going to happen next and how it's going to get to where we want it to be and how we're going to see it. It's more about the build and the creative challenge. It's just so, I don't want to say frustrating, but it can be confusing and difficult to choose. So that's one of those things where, and just kind of looking at what Brian and I were talking about, I can understand why fans are upset, but I can also understand why fans are wanting to see it and excited to be around it and happy for Triple H taking over. Like, I want to see Cody Rhodes come back and do well, win the title and all of that, because I like Cody Rhodes. I like CM Punk, but at the same time, I feel like CM Punk also is his own worst enemy, at least right now in this current situation. But the reason I think that is because of the information that's been provided by the media. I wasn't there. I wasn't backstage at this media scrum, and I certainly didn't witness anybody kicking in a door or kicking Larry or, you know. So when you look at these things, the challenge isn't just being a fan. The challenge is being educated. The challenge is also picking and choosing your battles. Deciding, okay, I'm going to support this company for these roster members, for these talented people. Maybe I don't like Tony Khan, but maybe I like the product. Or maybe I don't like Triple H, but I like Seth Rollins and I like the War Raiders and the New Day and the Usos. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a big fan of the design. Uh-oh. Incoming message. Let's welcome him back. Brian Taylor's on air with us now. Brian, what's up, man?
Woohoo! I'm back.
False alarm?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I guess it didn't start that way, but it was over pretty quick. So.
Well, alrighty then.
Yep.
Well, welcome back. When you left, I was talking about just how, in my mind, how I envisioned the challenge of how will we book XYZ show and how do we choose who is in the segments, and just how I don't envy that position regardless of company or promoter. I was thinking about it, and here we were talking about the women's roster for both companies and how difficult it is to write and be consistent with their storylines. But you also have to look at who's going to draw the ratings, who's going to draw the fans and sell the most tickets and merchandise. It's an unenviable task. I couldn't imagine sitting down and doing that. Like, with what we've gone through creatively with working with UCW, it's only a fraction of what I imagine like the pressure has to be on a guy like Tony Khan or Triple H.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to remember that you just got to make the right picks.
Mm-hmm.
Who you're going to give, those storylines to.
Right.
Somebody like Bray, or they probably don't need I mean, you want good storylines. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
you know, the charismatic individual like Bray or Ric Flair or you know Sting, Undertaker. I mean, even if you lay a goose egg storyline wise,
Hmm.
you know, those types of individuals can probably save your bacon.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's probably, well, not probably, but you know, again, with AEW, I don't think they're as structured as WWE, and so there might be a little bit more leeway in that type of stuff. But I don't know how they did it under Vince with the amount of control that one person had. I mean, I think if I was Vince, it would have drove me bonkers.
I think if it was, I mean, Vince was basically doing the old spaghetti method, throwing it on the wall to see if it sticks.
Well, true, but I mean, again, there was literally nobody else with him.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, he would write it. You know, they'd have it written Monday, Tuesday, rewrites on Wednesday, then for a SmackDown show, and then come Friday and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, no, I don't like the whole thing. They're just scrapping the whole thing. You
Hmm.
know, so Vince would have drove me nuts trying to keep everything in a certain pattern. But I mean, sounds like Tony kind of paints the picture and then expects them to rough draft it. Not rough draft it, but fill in the lines.
Right. Well, and that's
And
that's the big challenge, right? Is going in and having to provide a rough draft idea of what your segment's going to be, and then having so many different people to have it go through. At least Tony is the final word, at least from what we've been told.
mm-hmm. Well, I mean, but Vince was the final word. I'm sure Triple H is too. But I think with Tony, you the performer, you probably are going to have more input.
Hmm.
Because I think even like I think Malachi Black's alluded to it that a lot of this is his stuff,
Right.
not so much Tony's. It's his. You know, some of the vignettes and stuff like that. You know, and then you know ultimately they may take you down a path that you know the boss wants or he doesn't want. But
Hmm.
um, and again, you also got to remember too. There's only, I mean, if you look at a program, there's only a couple of real storylines, like real storylines. So now, so for instance, Jade Cargill, right?
Hmm.
So up until Nyla Rose taking the belt, the storyline was the number. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now she may very well get into you know, a little, I guess called tiff or feud for a week or two with somebody.
Hmm.
But ultimately, the story was the number, was her win streak. Again, until Nyla Rose just, you know, took the belt 2 weeks ago and ain't giving it back.
By the way, how funny is Nyla Rose in that storyline right now?
uh, but you know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
I mean, even though there is a storyline, to me, it's not a storyline. Um, Jericho and the ROH title that involves uh, Danielson, and now it's going to involve a mystery ROH champ, and
Hmm.
you know his is to me an actual storyline that they're investing in because you've brought in so many different people to go down this journey with us.
Right.
Um, um, who is it? That's feuding with Cage and Samoa Joe right now.
You mean Wardlow and Samoa Joe, the Embassy?
Yeah, the Embassy. That's turning out to be a storyline because look at how many people are getting brought in, and they're really going at it, and back to back and week after week, and this is probably going to boil over into an ROH versus AEW type thing, and at the end somebody's probably going to lose some titles over it.
Right.
To me that's a storyline that's going through. The Acclaimed and Swerve in their glory, and you can throw FTR in the mix. You can now throw the Gun Club into the mix. So you're starting to build on that. And I mean, again, you have some that are main stories, and others that just look like stories.
Right.
Storylines. Yeah. So while I'm sure it's hard doing it on a weekly basis, but let's not forget they're normally a collection.
Yeah.
So it may not just be one person that's pulling it off.
I mean, the overarching challenge, in my opinion, is still the how do you select what's going to be in what segment? Because yeah, you can read the stats and you can go, okay, well, statistically speaking, so and so draws X amount of viewers, and that may well be true. But then you've still got to go by because there's been comments of, well, we got to make sure we're providing opportunities, we got to make sure we're doing this, we got to do that, and it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just there's so many things you're juggling, which just makes that even more challenging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, that might be a harder challenge
Mm-hmm.
than the actual than coming up with a storyline. Is where do we put what where?
Right.
How long do we want this to go? You know, I don't know how. Like you hear in the past that the day after one WrestleMania, where they'd be like, next year's WrestleMania is going to be this, this, and this.
Right. Right. Yeah, they had Roman already booked for the main event.
Yeah, and now whether they truly had it stamped out for a year, but you can only assume that that's what Vince and company did. And that would be more. That would to me would be harder than just coming up with a storyline for somebody for a week or two or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you have other people, so it would be let's say you, me, and six other people.
Right.
Okay, so if we want to put all out, we want I don't know to get the title on Danielson. Okay, so how do we get there?
Mm-hmm.
So then you just plot the course, and then telling the story again to me it wouldn't be quite as hard. It would be everything else that went with it, I guess. MJF is he draws in the ratings, so where do we want to put him in the show?
Right. Right. Do you start the show hot and bring in as many people to get it in the door, or do you want to make them, make people call their friends and say, hey, you need to turn it on because the main event's MJF and so and so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whereas in the past, it would be you know a certain type of match,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would slowly build to the crescendo of a championship match.
Right. Right.
But with it is now where you can have a championship match on first if you so desire, and Lord knows they've done it enough lately. So that to me the hard part would be placement and making sure that again if I said Stan Grubb's going to be world champion, next year's All In, then how are we going to get there to make it actually work?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I honestly don't think the actual storylines would be hard. To me, it's everything else.
Yeah. Well, and that's the challenge in my mind is finding the puzzle pieces to fit them in the proper place. And it
Mm.
changes every week. Shit, it probably changes every multiple times a week. Especially if you're going from Dynamite to Rampage and then Dark and Elevation. Okay. At least with Dark and Elevation, it's a different set of people. It's a different, okay, so we've got to make sure so and so wins because he's on a 12 match streak, or you know what I mean? Like they have an
Mm.
easier booking scheme versus the CM Punks and the Hangman Pages of the world, where the one guy won't perform with another guy, or you know what I mean?
Well, no, I mean, I, I guess for those two shows, because you don't really have a champion dedicated to them,
Right.
they're just matches. They're to give certain people opportunities, and for other people, they're training.
Mhm.
And but to me, it wouldn't matter if Mox was telling or involved in a story on Wednesday and then it carried over into Friday.
Mhm.
You're not going to do it all the time, but when you do, I mean, we've done it. At other places, you sit down and okay, well, you got this and this. How do we get here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, how about this? Yeah, okay. Oh, that sounds good, but let's tweak this. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so now let's do this, this, and this. So this is the story getting us to here.
Mhm.
Um, I would imagine it's probably a lot like that. Maybe even under Vince. It would be they go in, they sit down. Okay, we got Roman versus Bray. I want these two to go. How do we get here?
Right.
I want it to go for a couple of weeks. So while we're sitting here, let's keep working on this. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's Wednesday, so y'all
You
can
know what
work
that
from
means?
you can work from your office stand, but by the time we get back together on Friday, tell me how we're going to get to the letter M, and then hey Rob, so you're going to tackle N through Z, for this, and then we'll get together and oh no, this doesn't work because whatever. Let's do this and let's do this. Again, I think multiple heads are probably better than one of those situations.
Yeah. I agree because you have to set it up in a way that makes sense, and then you've got to make sure that there's the roadmap that everybody can follow. Then you've got to kind of proofread it and go, no, seriously, we got to make sure that every person, every fan could actually follow it if they had to, kind of thing. So you got to be really specific, and it can sometimes be unnerving.
What? So I don't know if I necessarily need every fan to follow it, but I need for it to be. I don't need it to be so convoluted that nobody can follow.
Hmm.
Because again, you're not a fan of Jade Cargill.
Yes, I am.
Well, now, but before you weren't, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm setting everything up for her, I'm not so much really worried about you at that time because
Hmm.
you're not a fan. So eventually we'll figure out the hook to get you hooked. You know what I'm saying? But for what I'm doing with her today, I may not necessarily be worried about you, but I'm
Right.
worried about her fans, her dedicated fans. And then eventually maybe I get lucky and I get a hook and it hooks you in and you become a fan. But then at the end of the day, I'm not worried about everybody because not everybody's there to see everybody.
Right.
So some of them are, small time players, some of them are medium players, some of them are big time players. But, not everybody walking the arena is going to be a fan of everybody. So
So as we head into next week, next Wednesday, we don't have a lot on the card yet, but we've got a few things. Here's what we have so far. We've got Chris Jericho defending his championship, his Ring of Honor championship against a mystery opponent.
I'm calling Jerry Lynn.
So Jerry Lynn took a pile driver on the stage. Was that last week or the week before?
Might have been the week before.
So that's a possibility. Depending on his back, I'd be curious to see how it goes. In any wrestling world, this would be a dream match. Jerry Lynn and Chris Jericho. So, and hey, Drunk Uncle Jericho tends to polish off great match after great match when you don't expect him to. So this could be a good one. And I got look at this. More matches on here. Of course, Marina Shafir challenging Jade Cargill. I, for one, am looking forward to this match, and I think Shafir will pull out another great performance out of Jade. And here's to hoping that it does good numbers ratings wise. Saraya and Britt Baker are going to have a sit down with Renee Paquette in the middle. Good to see Renee all elite. The All Atlantic Championship is being defended. Now this is where it gets a little interesting. Orange Cassidy defending his title against Luchasaurus and Rey Fenix. I'm really glad to see Orange Cassidy with the title. I think it makes good sense to have him with the title like the All Atlantic one or even the TNT eventually. But I could see, especially with the build they've been doing, Luchasaurus winning the title. I could also see Rey Fenix catching the title because of just how damn good he is.
Yeah, but it ain't gonna happen. Orange will hold it. He's gonna keep inserting himself in the singles matches.
Yeah.
Just like he's done the last 2 weeks.
I love that he carries it in a backpack. Hey guys, see what I won this week?
Yeah. Now I have no clue. Like, I really have no clue how last week started with Roosh and Preston Vance.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see that continuing, especially after this week.
I want to see Roosh and Orange Cassidy 101. I want to see that match. Because, I mean, Roosh is great anyway. And Orange Cassidy just gets better.
I just thought about that. Was he ROH champ? Roosh?
As was Bandito. But he's already beaten Bandito.
Yeah, but has he beaten Jericho?
Damn. I don't know. He hasn't faced Jericho before, so Roosh against Jericho could be good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah. Now you know Tony's listening right now. He's crossed Jerry Lynn off the list. He's like, them son of bitches.
Yeah.
Roosh was probably number 2. He's like, God damn it.
Well, then that probably means it's going to be Christopher Daniels.
I'm okay. I mean, I don't know if this is when we're going to see Jericho lose it anyway.
No, I think, unfortunately, I think you're right. I think Jericho as champion continues for as long as they need him to be till Ring of Honor's on a weekly TV show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
It's
you
disappointing,
could see that
but it makes sense.
No, you could see that the pay-per-view, depending on who he is.
I mean, I still hold out hope that we'll get Nigel McGuinness back. He claims as when he retired that he could still wrestle. He just chose not to. Now in his biography, it was really because of how, frankly, I'm going to word this as carefully as possible. How careless some promoters had gotten in regards to how they handled like chair shots to the head and just blood tests and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be cool. So let's see. Darby Allin's going up against Jay Lethal. That's going to be a good one. I'm positive of that one. That one's going to be really good.
I hope Darby Allin goes out.
So yeah, kind of me too. So part of me wants to see Darby not just you can't have him win all the time. Sooner or later he's got to lose, and it doesn't have to be like stretcher him out, but you gotta I don't know. It's got to make sense, and that's what I think.
Well, so he did make mention not too long ago in an interview that sometimes it's good for people to be injured
Right,
off
right.
TV, whatever. So maybe that was a little foreshadowing for this week.
Maybe, maybe. And then the main event appears to be Mox against Lee Moriarty. Mm,
Shenanigans.
yeah,
Shenanigans.
big shenanigans. I think we're going to see the continued build of MJF as the top good guy with Mox.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, and this is where we were talking about it early in the show, and we'll close out with this segment here. I feel like, regardless of what direction you go with MJF right now, it's the right one. The fans love him so much that if you're just naturally letting the organic face turn happen, I think that's smart. I think you don't have to have it last long, just long enough for him to get the title, and then let him be a prick the next night.
Um, Unfortunately, I think it's a work with
Mm-hmm.
the firm.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I think you'll probably get a tag team match. So you heard it here first. Let me put a little seltzer on this. You know what I'm saying? If you get the pun there.
I get it. I get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
So before the week before the pay per view, you're going to get a tag team match.
Mm-hmm.
MJF and Mox versus two of the firm.
Mm-hmm.
And something tells me at the end of the match, MJF's going to knock Mox out.
I think you're probably right. I think we're probably going to see that, or we'll see, them push the full baby face routine through to Full Gear, and then at Full Gear we'll see MJF and the firm realign. We'll put it that way. Because
Well,
I don't know. I mean, MJF got the crap knocked out of him this past week. That's the reason I think maybe they're going full babyface with him.
hey, but again, what better ploy to do than to just obliterate MJF?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And maybe MJF is the guy that said, "Hey, I knew I had to take a beating, but I said I was going to earn it, so I did it the right way, quote
Mm.
unquote." And then
Yeah,
maybe he even
and
repeats the same quote, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled."
right now, what's interesting is he still has that stupid chip.
Mm-hmm.
Because was that really a cash in?
Well,
Yeah, he did cash it in for
he
pay
said
per
he
view.
said he was cashing it in for that shot.
Okay, all right. So I guess the chip's out of play now. Yeah, I mean, this is MJF,
Mm-hmm.
right? The thing you got to remember is we know MJF as a heel and how the audience responds,
Right.
but you don't know MJF as a face and how the audience responds.
Mm-hmm.
So that could ultimately backfire. And the smart thing to do right now would be to play it like you did with Austin and The Rock,
Right.
where they're still technically bad guys, but they're just great, good bad guys.
Yeah. Bad guys that people just happen to love.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you look at where this storyline seems to be going for MJF, I mean, unless they pull off a masterful double turn, which you could do it. I mean, Mox is that versatile, and I think MJF could pull off the baby face. I just don't think it would happen very long. I think he's just better as the bad guy, and I like him better as the bad guy. I
Mm-hmm.
love the fact that he's as popular as he is, because it
Mm-hmm.
means that he was right the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and what better feather in a cap, regardless of what company he works at. I said I was the biggest ratings draw. I said I was the most popular, and look what happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, so we know what brought us here,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know what would happen if she became the dream girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, sure, maybe you're testing the waters, but I think it's way too soon to do that. I mean, look at how long it took Flair to really be that great of a bad guy that the whole arena cheered for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, he had fans, but I mean, this guy, like, the whole arena's cheering for him pretty quick in his AEW career.
Yeah.
Whereas it took Flair a while. But even when Flair was getting cheered, he was a bad guy. He was one of the best in the business. And the Horsemen were doing very ruthless stuff, but they were over. The NWO, same thing. They were just so good at being bad guys that everybody loved them. But at the same breath, you don't necessarily have to turn somebody face because everybody loves them. Just let them be a bad guy. Let them be a better bad guy. Let them be, you know. And at the end of the day, you're still selling merch. You're putting butts in the seats. And I really don't think you need to flip him at all. I mean, you're really, in order for him to be like really great as a good guy, you're going to have to find another bad guy that can go toe to toe with him on the mic. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. I mean, you're going to have to find somebody that can make it worth your time.
Yeah, you're going to have to find somebody that's just going to piss the crowd off worse than MJF does.
I mean, and who's going to out son of a bitch MJF? I mean, really, maybe Jericho, but right now I don't think Jericho's at that level. Which seems weird, but I just think that maybe he's winding it down.
Yeah, but I think even Jericho just gets booed because they're like, this is dumb.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not that he couldn't go. Yeah, it would be it would be like Roman Reigns. Like, no, we're not putting up with this shit. No.
Right.
Yeah, get him out of here. So again, it's kind of like Cena. Cena was so good at being a face that eventually the crowd tried to turn him. And he stuck to his guns. I think he should have went heel, like full on heel.
Yeah, like that would have been good.
Yeah, the heeliest of the heeliest. But he stuck to his guns. But I mean, again, we said it before. Half of them booed him because they organically hated him, and half of them booed him because they were trying to flip him.
Yep, it was the cool thing to do. To say John Cena sucks.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope they don't try and. I hope it's a ploy. I hope the whole firm thing is a trick.
Well, I think we'll find out here in a couple days, and when we come back next Monday, we'll be able to talk all about it, including, hey, maybe there'll be more Usi stuff. Who knows? Catch up with Rob at Rob Hefner C2C on Twitter, and the show is at C2C Radio Show and C2CRadioshow.com. You can catch up with Brian at Vlad Dragul C2C, and catch up with me at Stan Grubb everywhere. And hey, we'll see you next week right here on Corner to Corner. Thanks again for listening. Have a great week, everybody.
That music over.